Hey you guys, so I figure I might as well preface this on all my streams by saying I'll start off with saying what I want to say, and then afterwards I will move on to the questions if there are any, or if there's any like discussion. I'm trying to make this a little bit more. Whoops, my chat. I'm trying to make this a little bit more streamlined. Now, I was listening to something today on YouTube, and I have this thing where I'll do things around the apartment or I'll get on with my day. And while I'm doing things, I will listen to YouTube videos, I'll listen to documentaries, and it's that way while I'm having this like passive time, I'm still absorbing things. And I recommend you guys do that same kind of thing as well. So, for example, right, you guys see that I have like these top tier graphics on my videos. It's not always meant for you guys to just stare at the screen. Go on with your life, go out, do some errands. Don't waste your life just staring at the screen. I'm gonna give you guys a heads up. This screen will probably not change at all, apart from this screen. So I don't focus too much on my visuals because I figure, well, like if I'm doing a live stream, nothing really changes, and in terms of what I'm talking about, unless I share articles. So today I was listening to something and I got a little triggered because there was a person who was just casually mentioning that they have this dream, and the dream is that they're going to make tens of millions of dollars, and they're a YouTuber, but they're not a big YouTuber at all. They're really small. They have less than 1,000 subscribers, and yeah. I'm not saying I have a lot of subscribers, but still, you're not going to make tens of millions of dollars off of having less than 1,000 subscribers. In fact, right, you would need to have millions of subscribers, probably like, I don't know, like over 5 million for sure. I don't know how much Mr. Beast has. Mr. Beast has a lot, but like that kind of like top tier level, that would generate a lot of income. So when they were saying this, it's like I kind of thought about it, and I thought, like, it's great to have a really big dream like that. However, it's you got to make steps forward. You can, I mean, like, I could say something like, oh, I hope my channel has like 50 million subscribers, but what will what has to be done to get that kind of number? And for that person, it's like they were just obviously daydreaming. And yeah, it's like I was looking through all their videos, and I'm not seeing content that I think would be worth $1 million or $500,000 or $100,000. It's just kind of, yeah. So a lot of people on YouTube, I've said it before, sometimes people get into YouTube, they got this dream, or they have this idea that they can be like the next Mr. Beast, and it doesn't happen. It's the odds are really stacked against you. In fact, I've shared with you guys before that when I do YouTube, it's not because I'm like hyper focused about my audience, and it's like I always want to make better videos, but I don't take it too seriously, and I know it shows. I know it shows for sure. So with this kind of thing, and hearing that person just have this dream, and me not being a pessimist, okay, me being a realist, again, very few people out there make tens of millions of dollars off YouTube. Not even Lewis makes tens of millions of dollars on YouTube, and he has over 1 million subscribers. It reminded me of someone that I knew in the past, and this person had a dream. They had a dream that they would be making a game, and they would have millions of dollars coming in because of the game. Now, it was it was like we went on like one of those card games, and they had worked with someone that I know who was very motivated and very driven. Now, it was a partnership, right? One person came up with the idea, and the other person basically did the drawings. And so you had the person who was doing the drawings, working very diligently, has a lot of like strong work ethic, making, basically churning out work just to make this game come to life. It was one of those like games like where you would need to have like a lot of visuals because it was a card game. And I remember the person who came up with the idea, that person just seemed to cling on this idea that, yeah, it would be successful. Now, unfortunately, the partnership did not work. What happened was is that the person who was doing a lot of the drawing, the drawing and hustling and bustling, they realized that they couldn't make this game successful without the other person helping them, the creator guy. So the creator was, instead of, let's say, trying to push this game out. For instance, they were at this kind of trade show and they were trying to push this game. They weren't doing any work. They did not advertise, from what I was told. They did not really want to do connections or try to upsell their game or anything like that. They just wanted to have a hands-off approach. And although it was a great game, there was huge flags with that partnership. You got one person who's gung-ho and obviously the other person wasn't. So the person who was the creator, the person who was not putting as much work as the other person, clearly not even on the same level, that person spent more time, from what I can recall, talking about how rich they're going to be, how successful they envision themselves, how they have a dream where they're going to live in a multi-million-dollar house and things are going to be luxurious. And they swore up and down that the game would be successful and they didn't have to, it's like they ran on a gut feeling and they didn't put in the work. So the game bombed. And fast forward 5 years, right? The person who was the creator, who didn't put any work in, they're not successful. They had a really good idea. I thought the game would actually work out, but it was just too much work for one person to do. And it left a bad taste to the person who was their partner. Now, the person who was doing the artwork, remember the person that I said had a really good work ethic? They kept going. And they kept, putting in the work, spending time to improve their craft. And last time I spoke to them, they're really successful. And I was so happy for them. It's like sometimes they say, they said that they've come a long way and there's a lot of respect for that person. But that person hustled and bustled, and even though they had a lot of setbacks, they kept moving forward. They spent more time doing and less time daydreaming or less time talking about how they envisioned their future life. And basically, they kept their head down. So, right? If you are in a position that you have this dream or you have this vision where you're going to be successful or you're going to be fit or whatnot, right? It's not bad to daydream, right? But the thing is as I show over here, daydreaming is a stream of consciousness that detaches from current external tasks, right? Where attention drifts to a more personal internal direction, and people spend about 47% of their waking time average on daydreaming. You cannot get lost in your head. You cannot spend all this time daydreaming, being like that person that I knew who just was so confident that their millions of dollars would materialize in their lap, that you lose focus on the work that's needed to do. See where I'm getting at? I know that a lot of people, they want to be, let's say they want to be famous or they want to be successful or they want to have a Lambo or they want to have a huge mansion, but not too many people think what are the steps that I need to take to get to there. And that's why I'm doing this stream, because you really need to map things out. I kind of look back and I think wow, that person who was the creator, they could have spent so much, they could have really gone places. They had a wonderful partner. I knew both of those individuals. I know, I knew both of them. And just seeing that kind of difference in the work ethic was really surprising. And as I mentioned before, one was a dreamer, the other one was a doer. And the doer 5 years later or so is in a much better place than the dreamer. I know people will give me crap about it and say, "Oh, Erica, you shouldn't talk so down about daydreaming." But listen to this, okay? The person who was the daydreamer, they did not want to do work to the point that they trusted the universe would pan out for them. So, for example, they would spend money on metaphysical items. They would go to one of those spiritual stores and basically light incense and do some prayers and do some altar stuff, and you know what I'm talking about, like the whole thing where I'm gonna hold a bunch of crystals in my pocket and it'll bring me luck, or I'll do some kind of essential oil blend that brings prosperity. And I don't deny that stuff. Like, I'm not gonna say that stuff doesn't work. But I think that it's not like everybody who spends $15 on some prosperity oil gets rich, right? Like, if that was the case, every person who walks into one of those metaphysical stores would be all in Lamborghinis or expensive cars or in mansions. People, in my opinion, people seek those kind of things. Part of it is that they're curious, but the other part of it is that they just feel like that's going to cement their chances. But truly, that doesn't. I have no problem with someone buying, let's say, good luck charm or prosperity oil if they put the work in. But if they do put the work in, and if they don't put the work in and they rely solely on the prosperity oil, that is not going to make a difference. So, for instance, right? Let's say, you got some people who say, "Oh, I want to have this, like, I want to attract like love or a great relationship," right? But if that person does not go out to meet people, if that person does not speak to another person, then they're not going to find anybody because they're not doing something. You can have all the pheromone spray, all the rose quartz kind of thing. But that, if you don't do action, don't expect any of those metaphysical stuff to just drop a person like right in front of you, and that person's gonna be like, "Hey, I could smell your rose quartz like a mile away, so I came over here." Like, that's not how life works. And I was reminded about this one person, and who, and you guys can look it up. His name is Elliot R. Rogers. And I know people would say, like, "Oh, you shouldn't talk about this, Erica," but for him, from what I remember about his little manifesto or so, he was really bitter about women not approaching him or not talking to him, and he felt like, why was life so cruel to him? He was the perfect gentleman, but the thing about him is he never approached women. From what I heard, people tried to befriend him, and his neighbor actually declared him something like the loneliest person in the world. People tried to talk to him, but Elliot did not want to talk to other people. So is it surprising for a person who, let's say, dreams of being popular, or dreams of having a girlfriend, or dreams of having a lot of friends, not having any friends or any of that if they push them away? See? So people extended their hand out to him, but he rejected it. He was so lost in his head that he did not realize what he was doing. I think he had this dream that he would have this great, fantastic kind of Chad life or so, but you can dream all you want, but if you don't move forward, it's not going to happen. That's what I'm trying to get at. So that case, it interests me a lot because it's like, I see this guy, he has a nice BMW. I thought he looked attractive. That's just my thought. And he had his clothes. But the thing is that once he opened his mouth, it's like, oh my gosh, like, he's so unattractive. And he had this like vibe where he thought he was better than other people, and he's like, why do women not like me? I am the perfect gentleman, I am exquisite. And it's like, oh my gosh. And then he doesn't realize, like, yeah, he's pushing people away, and instead of changing his habits, he gets mad. He gets mad. And it's very important to have this kind of self awareness or self perception about what you are doing. Because if you don't, let's say if you are, you know, how would I say, rubbing people off the wrong way and they don't want to have anything to do with you, or you find people always get mad at you, you have to kind of think like, if these people don't know each other, what am I doing possibly that's making people agitated? And he did not have that kind of awareness. He was just stuck in his daydreaming, fantasizing lifestyle. And when that didn't come to fruition, then unfortunately he took matters into his own hands. And I think when this happened, I think he was like 19 years old. I mean, he was really so young. He could have definitely turned his life around, but he didn't work on himself. And I think it's very tragic. And not just for him, but also the people involved. And I do know the situation, what happened with the roommates. Like, I didn't understand that. I was like, wow, you have a lot of violence towards your roommates. And I think it was like two kind of nerdy looking Asian guys. And the reason why I'm saying that as a descriptor is, look, if he wanted to off his roommates because they were, let's say, 6 feet tall, muscular, popular guys, I could understand why he would do that. But these guys look like, from all accounts, they were really nice guys, really kind, and he did multiple stabs to them, and it saddens me a lot, because I thought, like, the way I saw it is like he had so much rage in him that he could not see that, hey, not all people are the same, like, not all, like, just because you get rejected by one person doesn't mean you're going to get rejected by everybody. But I think Elliot, he just thought that if he got rejected by a bunch of people, then that's going to continue on forever and ever, and he wants to have his day of retribution or day of reckoning. And yeah, I wanted to make a stream about that, but I kind of like talked about it right now, all that stuff. Yeah, you guys can look it up. It really saddened me when I saw that. I was like, what is the point of this stuff? But I think he had, like I said, he had so much rage inside of him. He lumped everybody together. He could not get out of his head. And I wish he proactively took a step back and said, this is my situation. I'm not successful with women. I'm not successful with friends. I can't make any friends. And ask someone, hey, why do you think people don't like me? Instead of like focusing on being in a relationship with a woman or something like that. Like, if he had gotten out of his head and did something about it, I would be pretty damn confident, right? If he had dramatically toned down his entitlement attitude. And I don't know if the entitlement came from something inside of his mind. I don't know if it became something that he could not understand. Like, he thought, very black and white maybe. Like, okay, I'm attractive. I have a BMW. I have great hair. I have nice sunglasses. Women are interested in me. Women are interested in other guys, and they're not as like rich as me. They don't have a nice car as me. They don't have nice style like me. Like, what do these women see in those guys? And I'm sure it infuriated him, because he could not wrap. Like, not all women are only into looks, and not all women care about, let's say, the BMW. And I've said this before, and I'll say this again, to any guys who think that, oh, I'll get a BMW or I'll get a nice car and then women will flock, don't BS yourself. Because if you approach a woman at, let's say, a cafe or Starbucks, you think she's going to know what kind of car you drive? No, you got to actually approach women. You got to approach women with confidence, and you got to make sure that you're just, you're not a jackass, and ideally you should just be yourself. Maybe a more slightly outgoing version of yourself. If you're talking to a person and you normally are introverted, then you need to be a little bit more extroverted when you talk to them. I'm not that kind of person to randomly talk to people too much, but like people I don't know, But, if I was a guy and if I had to, let's say I saw some cute girl at a cafe or something, then I would go up to a chick and maybe say, like, hey, something like, hey, I think you're cute. Do you want to grab lunch sometime or something? Like that. Like, that's more forward. You can't just be waiting in line and you see a cute girl and you just think, like, oh, well, I have a nice BMW waiting in the parking lot. Okay, maybe she'll come up to me. Like, you see what I'm saying? It's like, I say this because I knew of a guy. It wasn't a guy that I personally knew, but it was like a friend of a friend. They told me that they said this guy had a car that cost more than the guy's yearly income, and he bought it because he thought he could pick up chicks with his nice car. The only problem is people, the chicks either didn't notice the car, they didn't care about the car. It wasn't like a luxury car like a Mercedes or a Lexus or one of those cars. It was like, I forgot what it was. It was like a higher end version of a common car. And I thought, like, really? That car costs like 60,000? They're like, yeah, Erica, car guys know this thing. And I'm like, I'm not a car person. Like, I don't. And it's like, yeah, so it blew up in their face, and they ended up with a car that, although they bought it brand new that year, they did not get any women interested in them. And I think it's because they didn't approach women, and if women aren't interested in them, like, they sure as hell not going to be interested in a car. Maybe you'll get some women who are interested in like a higher end car, like a Lambo or something. But, I mean, that's very recognizable. Not this, I don't know what kind of, I can't remember what kind of car it is, but don't spend your money on a freaking expensive car. Especially if you want to interest other people with that thing. It's stupid. It's really stupid. I mean, spend the money that you would have spent on a car on yourself. Get some better food. Go have a nice dinner or something like that. Invest the money. Put it in a stock account. Do something with it. Don't just think like, oh, okay, I gotta shell out this money for a brand new car and then all the people will come to me. Like, no, you're gonna look like an idiot. And after, let's say, 2 years, a car doesn't have the same kind of ring. I've said this before and I'll say it again. A 2021 car does not have the same ring in 2023 or 2024. Seriously. So, yeah. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say. I am going to read this really quickly, the chat. Let me see what was over here. Yeah, Mr. Beast is really popular because he has, how I've spoken about like short attention spans. His videos, I've only seen a few of them. They're always like, okay, we're gonna give away a house today, and we're gonna make a billboard and then offer it for $1, and then it's just like multiple things, or like toss a football back and forth, and every time you toss it, you get a certain amount of money. So it's like you got 8 things going on in this one video. And if you want to see the end result of it, you have to watch the whole video, right? Like, what if you want to see how much money the guys who toss the football back and forth get? Like, you got to watch till, closer to the end, because you don't know when that segment's going to reappear in that video. So it's a really smart thing. And I think it's, a great thing that he's giving away money, giving away things. I mean, YouTube is a platform where people can improve other people's lives, whether it be through, let's say, giveaways or education or entertainment or knowledge. Lots of good things about YouTube. Yeah. Hi, Joe. Yeah, everything's good. Yeah. No, you'd be surprised. Like, it's the same people who, like, the spiritual stores. I'm not gonna knock those stores, because I'm not gonna say 100% doesn't work. Okay. But what I will say is, if you buy some prosperity thing, you gotta put the work in. It's not like I can just, let's say, sit in the bathroom all day or sit in the tub all day, not have my phone with me, and just read a magazine and say, okay, I applied the prosperity oil. I will be waiting for this tub to fill with millions upon millions of dollars. You see? Like, There has to be something that you do, and whether those spiritual oils act as a placebo effect, maybe it gives you a little bit more confidence to go do what you want to do, then that's a good thing. So sometimes people, they'll buy, let's say, some sort of lucky amulet, lucky charm, and if they're studying for a test, right? They're studying for the test maybe 3 hours a day for the last 2 weeks. While they're studying, they buy a lucky charm. Now, let's say they get an A on the test. They could say, oh, I got the A because I had the lucky charm or the lucky bracelet with me. Or, right, they might say, okay, well, maybe it's not the lucky bracelet. Maybe it's because I put in the work. So if someone works a little harder because they feel like they have a lucky bracelet, lucky charm, lucky oil, essential oil of sorts, then yeah, no problem with that, but make sure you have your goals associated with that as well. Yeah, I'm doing good, Hannah. Uh, what do you mean? No, women can be car enthusiasts, but let's be real here. A lot of women don't know too much about cars. I know that sounds really sexist, but it's not, because if you figure out like model of cars, men tend to take more of an interest in knowing about horsepower and specs of a car compared to women. Women, it's like, okay, it's a car. Oh, what kind of car is it? Oh, it's a Mercedes. That's an expensive car. Oh, it's a Lambo. Like, everybody knows that's an expensive car. By the way, you guys, if anybody's listening, like, please do not get a freaking Lambo. Even if you guys can afford a Lambo, don't get a Lambo, because you could do a lot of things with that money for a Lambo, like buy an apartment instead or buy a house. And I think that's a better investment than a Lambo, because a Lambo would just be a depreciating asset for sure. Yeah, yeah, but so that one person, who surrounded himself with spells and stones and lucky essential oils and all sorts of things, like, although he spent a lot of time, asking the universe for this kind of thing, because he didn't put the work in, it blew up in his face. I mean, something like, if you have an entrepreneurial venture, you need to put the work in for it to come to fruition. So, for instance, right? Let's say I said, okay, I want to make a soap business, and I said, yeah, I wanna make this, great. I want to make this huge line of soaps and sell millions of dollars of soap, and I want to get bought out by, I don't know, Unilever or something, or some big company. And that is my dream. I can see it. I can envision it. Now, if I make some soaps and I just sell my soaps at a farmer's market, or, right, I like make a website for it, like ericasoaps.com, but I don't do any advertising, like, this, who's gonna find out about my freaking soaps? Like, you can trust word of mouth, but is your soap so spectacular that it's gonna gain a huge following? That's the question. There's so many soaps out there. You can buy soaps at farmers market. You can buy soap on Etsy. You can buy soaps on Whole Food. You can buy soap at the grocery store. You can buy cheap soap at the dollar store. You can buy soap at a local bodega. Soap. And with that example, if I have this great vision for my soaps and I don't put any work in there, or if I don't try to like get people to know about my soaps, then all the amulets, all the smells in the world is not going to make my soap come to life, for sure. And yeah, but I think it's not hard to daydream, but it's a lot harder to do stuff. I've said it before, but like, if you fail at something, or if you run short on something, you run the risk of, if you keep encountering setbacks, you just like fall off the bandwagon, right? And if you fall off the bandwagon, that's when your dream will completely stop. So let's go back to the soap idea. Let's say I have some soap, I'm selling it at a farmer's market. I'm not making too much sales. So then I thought, oh, okay, well, let me sell some on Etsy. I don't make too much sales. And then I said, well, I guess that's it. I guess my soap's not too popular. I could have said, well, let me try and speak to some marketing company, see if I can figure out something about my soap. Let me try to utilize social media. Let me try to, speak to some sort of like business consultant and ask them, hey, do you have any suggestions about how I can get my soaps in the hands of grocery stores or in the hands of like big companies, let's say a CVS or a Walmart or something like that, or a Whole Foods. But if I fall short and I give up on my dream before I even do all that work, right? Before I even like talk to a business consultant, before I even do social media, then I'm pulling the plug way too early. And all the amulets in the world will not bring success if I don't change my approach, if my product is not, let's say, being in the minds of people. You see where I'm getting at? Like, people, I think people are driven, but I think people are dissuaded from their goals very easily as well. That's what I find in my life. Like, I find that there are people that I know that have these really ambitious plans, and once something goes wrong, right, they're like, oh yeah, I've been trying 3 months to, you know, do something and it hasn't been working, and then they're like, yeah, I guess I'm just not meant to lose weight or something like that. It's like, oh look, you can get back on there and you can try again, and just keep at it. Like, the moment that you give up is the moment that your dream dies. Truly, truly. Like, if you have a daydream, you gotta pivot. You gotta absolutely pivot, and you gotta do. You cannot just have this thing where I'm gonna have this big soap company and I'm gonna sell it for $10 million, and not try to concretely think, how am I gonna get my soap to a point that some company is gonna pay me $10 million for my soap. No, I don't have any dreams about making soap. Hell, there's so much soaps out there for sure. And like, even if I made soap, like, gosh, I'd have so much bars of soap, and it'd be like, okay, I'm going through the batch and I'll report back to you. I'll be done with this batch in like a couple years or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, so Lucky Charms, they're not bad. I think Lucky Charms can give people hope. It can give people confidence or a renewed faith. Like, okay, I got this dream that I want to sell soap, and with this Lucky Charm, with this lucky amulet, I can do it. Like, okay, you look at the Lucky Charm and then you say, okay, this is the motivation that I'm going to continue with my soap dream. I know, soap dream, soap bar dream. Good, good. But don't just think that the Lucky Charm is going to do the work for you. Cause it really won't. Okay, so, yeah, let's see. Yeah, like, I know some about certain vehicles, but I don't know specs very well. I would not be able to identify a lot of models of the car without like the names of it. And even if I saw the names, like, I don't know what's considered an expensive car, what's not too much. Like, for instance, right? Let's say you got like a Nissan. What's the difference between like a Nissan Altima price versus the other Nissan? Oh my gosh, I forgot the Nissan Altima versus Nissan something else. Oh, I can't remember. Like, those kind of things, like, I don't know. But sometimes people would say, well, don't you know that this is the more expensive model or the more premium model? But like, no, I don't freaking know that kind of stuff. Like, I don't study cars, and I know some models of cars, like the Model X for a Tesla. Like, I had no idea that thing is like $90,000. I'm like, really? Jeez, that's freaking expensive. All that stuff. Yeah, I don't understand the horsepower thing too. So, oh wow, smelled like oatmeal at the end. Cool. Yeah, I know some people who get into the soap thing, they get really motivated about it. They get down like the soap path, and they say like once you start getting into soaps or essential oils or do it yourself, you end up with a whole like concoction of things. Like, even for me, like, I spent so much money on essential oils, and I thought of it like a hobby, and now I'm kind of like toning down on it because I'm like, oh, I got too much product and not I only got one face. No, it's not a bad thing. Moot Tom says it's sad that the current economy makes people desperate to get rich quick. I think that it's natural, right? People want to figure out the easy way, the quickest way to make millions upon millions of dollars, to live the dream that they have in their head. But let's say if you have this goal where you want to make a company and you want to have a successful company, don't think that you make the company today and then in 3 months you're going to be selling millions of dollars worth of inventory. It happens for certain people, but not everybody. Some people, you hear that they made this kind of product and it took years for it to break out, and or they had to go on QVC, they had to make a deal with Shark Tank, or they had some kind of like blowout um, lightning event where they just got a lot of hype for it. So those are like the 1 million kind of products. I think, you know what, Hannah? I'm gonna say I don't think a lot of women know as much as know too many models about cars like men do, and this is based on what I see for people. Like when I hear about people talking about cars, generally they tend to be car guys. They tend to be, the people at the car shows. They tend to be predominantly guys. Now the models tend to be females, but the car enthusiasts tend to be men. Now, I'm not saying all people who like cars are men. You do have women as well, but I don't think it's like women. If I had to put like a ratio of like, okay, who knows more? I think it's significantly more men than women. I don't have a dream about millions upon millions of dollars. But I think that a lot of people, when they think about wealth, they think about millions, right? It's not just 1 million. I mean, like $1 million doesn't even get you that far compared to like before. Look at the price. Look at the prices of houses now. It's crazy. Yeah, so family cars, when I think about family cars, it's usually, let's say, the safer cars, right? You got the Hondas, you got the Toyotas, you got the Nissans, typically, or you got like the mom mobiles, the minivans of sorts. Not that that's what I think to be a family car. But I do acknowledge that, yes, when it comes to purchasing a car, of course, if you have, let's say, a couple together, then the women does have, sizable influence, just like the guy. I don't know about that Cybertruck thing. I'm not a big fan of the Cybertruck, to be real. Like I look at it, I'm like, what is that? I don't get it. It doesn't look aesthetic to me. It looks very blocky. It looks like something that looks kind of ugh to me. So I don't understand the hype of Cybertruck. Go to a dealership, you will find a lot of women are there making the decisions. I think that, yeah, if you're a couple, right, then you do ideally want to run it past your significant other. And yeah, a guy might say like, oh, I want to buy a two-seater Porsche, and the woman might be like, no, why are you gonna buy a two-seater? That's not practical. What if we have a kid? Then the kid's not gonna be able to fit on a two-seater. Oh, really? The Cybertruck is bulletproof? I had no idea. Dang, that's kind of scary. Can you imagine if it's like there's some criminal out there and they have a Cybertruck? Like, I'm just gonna be real here. Like, how are you gonna shoot into the car, if anything? You really don't need to have it bulletproof unless you're in New York, truly. Or maybe some, not so safe area. Uh, yeah, I don't think it looks that great. Hello, Tony. So I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna make dinner. But I just wanted to make this really quick stream over here. Let's see how long my time is. 39 minutes, not too bad. And I hope if any of you guys know people who believe in like spells, metaphysical stuff, it's like I said, it's not bad to be wishing and casting spells and stocking up on amulets, but you gotta do something. Same with daydreaming. Daydreaming, there's nothing wrong with imagining you live a life where you live in a big house, or you got this, I don't know, you got a great big closet, or you got this like huge kitchen with all these stainless steel appliances. But you gotta ask, like, how do you make the dream in your head become reality? And that is something that I find that people, when they just casually daydream, they don't really think of their game plan at all. I'm most likely gonna cook some steak. I have a big craving for steak right now. I wish I bought some seafood, but yeah, it's too late, and the seafood place that I normally get seafood is closed. So, oh, I wish I could eat some mussels right now. That would be nice, but oh well, oh well. I'll probably get to that.